No, I listen to it all the time. I tell all my friends to smack it raw.
Following podcast contains mature content. The views and opinions expressed by the host are not necessarily those of the host. Listener discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Smackin Raw podcast episode 204. I am your host, the Warden, Matt Ritter, and I am here, as always, with my co-host, Daddy Delgado, the Pornhub Poppy. Vince, what's going on?
Daddy's home. How's it going, Matt?
Very good. And we did not come alone because it's a very special week. Fans are back in WWE. So I brought my good friend from The Angle Radio, the host of The Angle Podcast, and interview extraordinaire, Joey Carney. What's going on, man?
How are you guys? Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, we were going to have you on the 200th episode. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. But I've had the pleasure of working with you on two super shows, one with Apron Bump and one with A Kenny for Your Thoughts, and then also listening to all of these badass interviews that you've done. Eric Bischoff, DDP, tuning in for your pre-shows and your predictions that you do for pay-per-views. You've got a lot of stuff going on over there, man, and you're great. So I'm really happy to have you.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I'm happy to be here. Happy to go over everything and, smack it raw.
Make your Pornhub debut.
Exactly.
Nice.
So for those of you who may be new listening, who are fans of Joey's show and are tuning in for the first time, we're going to run over some news and rumors, plug a couple things, and then when we get into the base of the show, basically how this will work is I will run down whatever show Joey picks to start with. So let's say he wants to start with Raw. I will run down real quick everything that happened on Raw in a slightly biased manner, and then we will talk about what we liked or swallowed and what we didn't like or spit from the show. And we're going to cover Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and AEW from this week. And then at the end of the show, we'll talk about what our favorite show was and why. So basically what we do here, we're going to have some fun with it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And if you guys are hearing Joey for the first time and haven't listened to him and you enjoy what he does, make sure you go check out his podcast and his interviews. They're great. He's a beautiful man, nice to look at. So go check out his YouTube channel. All right, so let's get into it. First off, as always, when we kick it off, we want to plug those Black Lives Matter shirts. It's my pin tweet at Matt Ritter, that's at MATTRIDDER, from Young Kings Wrestling. Our good friends over there made those shirts, and all the money that is generated from you purchasing those shirts is put into a fund, and then that money is donated to families affected by police brutality, injustice, loss of loved ones from things of that matter. It does not actually go to the Black Lives Matter Corporation, but it is part of that movement. So we ask that you guys support that, appreciate you guys doing so, and go get yourself a badass NWO style inspired t-shirt with that logo on it, so your money goes to a good cause. Off the top, news and rumors. First and foremost, very sad, Paul Orndorff passed away.
Yeah.
Mr. Wonderful, obviously we know him from WrestleMania. He also did a stint that we not too long ago covered on our Return to Wrestling show in WCW. It's sad to see Mr. Wonderful gone.
Yeah, man. I think I found out about it like in the middle of watching NXT. I believe it is when they put like the little like graphic before the show. And yeah, I mean, like I don't know much of Paul Orndorff because that was before my time, but it's always sad to see like anyone go, to be honest. It's just a sad moment.
Yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
Sorry. No, he was a part of, the first WrestleMania, the huge main event, with Hogan and Mr. T and Roddy Piper. So, I mean, he was a big part of, WrestleMania history, but I saw a few videos a few weeks ago of him, obviously not doing well. Things, resurfaced and they said that he wasn't doing well. And then it kind of came, I don't know if the family knew anything, but for us, it came up very unexpectedly.
Yeah. And also, I think it happened around Monday, and fans were upset that they didn't do anything on Monday Night Raw for him. 10 bell salute, blah blah blah. But Raw was pre-taped, which is why that didn't happen. But of course, we in the IWC have to jump the gun and just get mad about everything and blow up and have a fit. So, also in news, apparently the lawsuit against my arch enemy, Matt Riddle, was dropped. I will say this doesn't necessarily mean he's innocent, but the lawsuit was dropped. So that is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Also, did you guys hear about Pete Dunne's eBay auction?
No,
Yeah,
I did
I
not.
heard something about that.
Yeah, so Pete Dunne was auctioning off for Children's Hospice his white ring gear.
Mhm.
And the person that won the auction apparently never planned on paying the money that he auctioned off, and then messaged Pete Dunne. I actually saw this on his Twitter. He posted screen caps from eBay saying wrestling is fake crap. So they contacted the person through, I think, Twitter or Facebook, through social media, and then they got another message saying, I never purchased this, please cancel it. So now he's not only trying to get this person for what they did, but reaching out to anyone who participated in the auction to find out who the next highest bidder was, so that we can get this money for Children's Hospice and get it to them and get somebody the merchandise that they bid on, so kind of fucked up that, for such a good cause, you're going to pull that kind of crap, but that fucking people, man.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That's
It's just a grimy thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
it's not even that. It's just like, who does that? I mean, it's for like, it's a kids. It's for
There
kids.
are a lot of terrible people in the world and in the wrestling community, and it's sickening.
I think a majority of them are part of the wrestling.
Yeah, that's true.
Unfortunately.
No, it's just it's you definitely don't expect anything like that when you're doing an auction for charity.
I agree. And then our last piece of news on a brighter note, because I like to end things on a brighter note. I believe I saw it from you, so maybe you can speak a little bit more to it, Joey. But Mickie James announced an NWA Women's Tag Team Championship.
She did. These these titles have actually been around for quite some time. I think they were like the first thing or first ever women's tag team titles, and they're being reinvented, you could say, being brought back. They're doing they're calling it Empower, their next all women's pay-per-view.
Love the name.
Yeah, this the night before their I guess you can say their regular pay-per-view. So I mean, that's gonna be a great thing. Mickie James being the producer of that show, so really being in charge of the whole thing.
Absolutely. And like I said, we ask you guys that if you're going to go watch Empower, please pay for it. Put money into women's wrestling and show that you're supporting it, so that they have the evidence, the buy rates, so on and so forth, to show that this is a successful thing that we wrestling fans want to see. Because if you illegally pirate it, they're not going to get the same metrics, and it's not going to be as appealing going forward when they try and do something like this again. And this is absolutely something I support. It's going to be the first NWA pay-per-view I've actually bought so far. So I'm really excited about it and looking forward to see what they do with it.
And they're not one of the expensive pay-per-views either. They're not like a WWE or any of those pay-per-views. They're pretty cheap. I think the last one was $9.99 or something like that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's
They should
pretty
be-
affordable for the most part. I mean, that's the one reason I kind of like hold back on buying AEW pay-per-views, because they're like full price.
yeah,
And
they're
it's like I
$50.
can't do that. I can't do that. I can't justify paying for that much money, and it's not even my favorite brand. If it was NXT, maybe I could like talk myself into like a specific takeover.
Yeah.
But even NXT, I wouldn't do that. Like the network really changed the whole like the whole business model, and I can't go back to just paying $50 for a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Luckily, their pay-per-views are only a couple months in
Yeah.
between.
Which is
So
good.
it's not 12 a year, it's 3 or 4, or I
Yeah.
think 4 or 5, which is nice. And it all depends on the card and what they got going on. Like, I
Yeah.
know, especially for me, Malachi Black being an AEW and Hangman Page getting pushed, which we're going to talk about towards that title picture, is definitely something I will drop $60 on, sit down and watch. So they're definitely trending in the right direction for me. Do you guys have anything else news and rumors wise that you guys heard about, want to talk about, discuss before we move on?
I heard not really heard, but like I keep seeing it come up everywhere on Twitter. The rumblings of a one Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, maybe going to AEW.
That's a big rumor.
That'd be
I personally thought he was going to show up on SmackDown, maybe even open the show, surprise everybody. But who knows? He's being pulled from WWE programming and different projects that they have. So
yeah.
Who knows at this point? Besides him.
I mean, I personally wouldn't be okay with him showing up on SmackDown. If he does return to WWE, I would want him to go to Raw or NXT just to keep up with the continuity of him like leaving SmackDown with the storyline from Roman Reigns. That's the only reason why. But I did hear rumblings that supposedly Bill Goldberg is supposed to come back and face Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam. I don't know if it's true or not. I hope it's not, but he supposedly has like a 2-match-a-year contract. And
apparently attacking this upcoming week.
I hope not. I hope not.
Yeah.
That's not the match I want to see. That's not the old.
We go back to live crowds in the first Monday Night Raw. Goldberg's music hits.
It'd be the complete opposite of what we saw tonight on SmackDown.
Yeah. Well,
I've had a theory that they're doing that on purpose. They're making Raw purposely bad so people tune into their other shows.
It's a theory.
That is a theory. That is a theory. Joey, where do you want to start? You want to start AEW, NXT, Raw, SmackDown? How you want to do this?
And it's funny because a lot of these shows this week, they really fluctuate. Like some were really good. None were really that bad, but there obviously were some better ones. So I guess we can start with, let's start with Monday Night Raw, I guess. Yeah.
All right. So we kick it off with Woods getting a win over Bobby Lashley. And then Lashley leaves the building afterwards. Jinder and his boys come out. They've got Drew's sword. We have Alexa's Playground with Doudrop and Eva. Eva was not invited, insults Alexa and Doudrop before leaving and taking Doudrop with her. I hate saying that. I should just call her Piper.
You should.
Jinder and friends call Drew to get his sword back. Obviously, they're like, oh, we refinished it. Everything's cool. And it's broken. And then Drew says, well, you should know if you bring your sword to the arena, it's going to get messed with, which is why that's a replica and this is the real sword, and then trashes Jinder's motorcycle.
Keep rolling.
How funny would it have been if he, instead of gesturing to the actual sword, he gestured to his crotch, saying that that's the real sword? That would have got a pop out of me if he had did something like that. Kind of
like a DX stop. Yeah.
I think that's a little bit of edge that Drew just doesn't have. But what bothered me about this real quick, because it's not worth spitting, is just he's like, you don't bring the real sword to the arena, and then he pulls out and says this is the real sword. So you fucking brought it to the arena. Like, you just talked about how that's something you don't do because it's going to get messed with, and then you show us that you did it anyway. Unfortunately, poor almost a superhero Nikki Cross has to listen to Riddle's nonsense as he babbles on. We got a women's fatal 4-way. Eva and Doudrop come out. Alexa goes after Eva. Piper, I'm calling her Piper. She ends up sicking Piper on her. Piper dumps Alexa over the barricade. Alexa disappears. Meanwhile, the match is still going on in the ring. Nikki pins Asuka. We got a Viking Raiders interview. The Vikings are dirty and smelly, and women love them. Or they're not dirty and smelly, and women do love them. AJ makes fun of Vikings some more. Looks like Eric has a third nipple tattoo on his bicep. My wife pointed out, she texted me and she goes, why does he have a third nipple tattoo? So then I was looking at that. Something to look for next time you watch Eric wrestle. Ivar ends up defeating AJ and almost ends up defeating Eric. Sheamus is pissed that he has to defend his title. Ends up beating we got a Sheamus stand here. Ends up beating the shit out of Humberto Carrillo on his way to the ring. Then gets the win and then beats him up some more post-match. And Damian Priest comes down to make the save. We got Ricochet again, unfortunately having to talk to Riddle, but does shout out my favorite movie of all time, Tombstone. So props to Ricochet for that. Matt Riddle's an idiot. Ricochet ends up defeating Morrison in a Falls Count Anywhere match. We got Mandy and Dana laughing at Natty and Tamina. Said Natty doesn't have a chance at Money in the Bank or at beating Rhea. Tamina pushes Dana, and then Mandy goes bye-bye. So good luck, Dana Brooke, going forward on Raw. We got a Drew interview. Rhea defeats Natty, ends up getting jumped by Charlotte, and then we end the show with an awesome VIP lounge. Bobby's not playing around anymore. No more girls, no more champagne, no more bullshit. And MVP looked terrified at the monster that has been unleashed in Bobby Lashley after losing to Xavier Woods at the beginning of the show. So, with all of that said, what did you guys enjoy? What did you swallow from the show?
Go ahead, Joe. I'll let you go first. You're the guest.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, what was the best part of the show?
Not necessarily just the stuff you liked. So,
Stuff I liked.
yeah, just we'll go one by one. Whatever you swallowed, whatever you enjoyed, we'll talk about why you enjoyed it, if we also enjoyed it, and then the stuff that we didn't either dislike or did enjoy, we're just not going to talk about. So,
I definitely liked the ending with Bobby Lashley kind of destroying everything. Because for the last few weeks, I feel like he has lost his edge. And for me, being a fan of Bobby Lashley for so long, I'm like, this is like a ripoff of The Godfather. Like, I don't care to see him there's a whole women's movement going on, and we're using the women again as props. Like, it doesn't make sense to what they're trying to do. And MVP being the ringleader here, the one who's trying to get him focused, but getting him unfocused, it's been like, maybe he's going to turn on him. Maybe he's going to do something to screw him over. So to see Bobby Lashley kind of put an end to it and kind of take the predictability part out of it, being like, okay, he's not going to turn on me. This is what we're going to do. I'm in charge. I think that was pretty dope. Pretty awesome to see him, to take charge again. No more.
I'm with you on that. I absolutely loved the whole ending, especially because, again, I like when you start a show with something and then you tie it up at the end of the show. So Bobby coming out after leaving because he was so pissed off, destroying the set, telling MVP all of the, like, what New Day's been saying is right. All of these distractions, all this bullshit, it's done. It's over with. I don't want to lose my title. I don't want to lose the edge that I seem to have lost. I need to get it back. And if I'm going to keep this title, this is what needs to happen. Either you're with me or you're out too. And MVP being like, well, I'm going to go with this guy, which I can't blame him because I'd be scared shitless of Bobby Lashley too when he's that pissed off. Fucking fantastic.
No, yeah, I enjoyed it too. I thought it was great. Bobby Lashley, MVP, the Hurt Business stuff has been the best stuff, like, on Raw the last few weeks, especially in the interactions with Kofi. And then Kofi bringing this out of him was a nice catalyst to do this movement, because it's a story it's a nice story they're telling, because he celebrated, he won the title, he rested on his laurels. He has to go back to that killer he was that got him to that WWE title if he wants to even retain the title, because Kofi has proven that he can't beat him, and it just takes 3 seconds, his shoulders being pinned to the mat, to him lose the title. So I like that. I'm all for it, and I'm excited for the match on Sunday.
Absolutely. All right, what else we swallowing for Monday Night Raw?
I personally liked just seeing the way Kofi's handling himself. I mean, like, we've seen it before when he was first WWE champion, but that kind of went away for a while. Now to see him, the way he's interacting in his promos with MVP, and even just being on top of his game, I really like this Kofi Kingston.
I agree with that. He's killing it right now. The fact that they're putting so much emphasis on the fact that we're getting Kofi versus Bobby for the WWE title, which is awesome, as is not something that you really ever see from WWE. And they're putting a big spotlight on it and letting these guys, they're taking them seriously. They're, it's not some kind of gimmick or joke story. They're not making something extra out of it. Vince isn't out there in a do-rag causing problems. No one's, pretending to be a gangster stealing shit, and like, they're not gimmicking these guys up, stereotyping these guys up. They're letting them be themselves and run for the main championship going into one of the bigger gimmick pay-per-views, but bigger pay-per-views of the year. I'm all for it.
No, I love it, man. They even put a pretty big spotlight on SmackDown, because they did like a nice little hype package on SmackDown, which lets you know, because they knew a lot of people were going to be watching, and for them to go ahead and highlight that specific match lets you know how highly they think of it.
Vince, I know you want to swallow something specifically.
I want to swallow Sheamus, man, and I always want to swallow Sheamus because he's out here injured, looking like Rip Hamilton with a black mask. No, looking like Kobe Bryant with the black mask, face mask. He's out here destroyed the fuck out of Humberto Carrillo. That's what he gets for trying to get this title match out of the man. That, like, how do you injure a wrestler and get rewarded with a title match? I don't think that's fair. I think Sheamus shouldn't have had to defend that title. I don't think he should have to defend that title until he's 100% healthy, but that's just my personal opinion.
30-day no compete clause.
Yeah, I was gonna say 30 days. I mean,
No. It's the Sheamus rule. Like, it's null and void. Like, he's exempt of all like other rules that everybody else has to follow.
you're just
And
a
then-
badass. It doesn't apply to you.
Yeah, exactly. He's just such a badass. That doesn't apply to him. And then I like the pivot that they're doing by using Humberto Carrillo and having Damian Priest in the back with him. It's like, hey, you sure you can go? Then getting destroyed again in the ring. One of the best Sheamus matches of all time, honestly. And then like Damian Priest versus Sheamus should be a nice little feud to going for the US title, man.
Are you going to be conflicted when it's Sheamus and Damian Priest? Because I know you have a love for both of them. Now your love for Sheamus is fairly new.
New love is always best love.
Yes. So
I do gotta agree a little bit with the Sheamus love, though. That guy is, since he's returned last year, he's killing it. Every match, like, banger.
So a little backstory here real quick for anyone who doesn't know. We were on Young Kings Wrestling for a post show. I believe it was a post show. And
Yeah, it was.
while on the show, my co-host Vince said that Sheamus was mid at best, which then drew the ire of me, Reek, and TC, where we were giving him shit. And he's like, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying there's never been a Sheamus feud or a match that I cared about that I'd want to go back and watch this and that, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So come, what was it, WrestleMania?
It was WrestleMania because he was challenging who was US champion at the time? Matt Riddle.
Bro.
Yeah. My co-host here said that if Sheamus defeats Matt Riddle and becomes US champion, he will officially become a Sheamus Stan account and retract all mid at best comments. And when Sheamus won, which of course made me happy because hashtag Riddle over Riddle, he has fully fulfilled his Sheamus Stan stance to a T on our show. So I do appreciate that.
Hey man, I gotta live the gimmick, man. But no breaking kayfabe, man. Come on.
I mean, it was all on Twitter. Everyone saw it. It happened.
The question is, are you now a real Sheamus stan?
No, I always appreciated him. I mean, there were some parts where like I didn't like the 1-800 fella version of Sheamus wasn't the best.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed his time with the bar. I even liked him with the League of Nations. You know, I kind of liked a little bit of that. So he's never been a bad guy. I just kind of always saw him as like he's always there. He never really like stood out. Which
I never liked his face stuff. His heel work.
His heel work was always really good.
Yeah.
But his face stuff just never resonated with me. But yeah, Damian Priest versus Sheamus should be good. And to be fair, Damian Priest I like, but I don't love. There's a difference between liking and loving someone. And I love Sheamus.
If Bad Bunny was with him, you'd love him. But now that Bad Bunny's gone, it's just a like.
At that point, I tell Bad Bunny to dump the loser Damian Priest and join up with a real winner in Sheamus. Then he'd really blow up and be a mega star worldwide. And everyone that didn't know about him would know about him.
Did you guys
Fair
catch Sheamus's face guard? He's got Celtic Warrior
No,
written on it.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, one side says Celtic, the other side says Warrior. Like, it's really small and white, but it says Celtic Warrior on it.
Nice.
Now,
I gotta look.
now you've got a little Easter egg to go look for, Vince.
That and the third nipple of Eric.
Yes.
Eric's third nipple. As a horror movie fan and a fan of all of this, I am not only going to swallow the continuous win streak that almost a superhero Nikki Cross is going on, because I really do think that this gimmick is going to get over with her. I was listening to your prediction show. I would love to see Nikki Cross win that Money in the Bank, because I think Hurricane would have been entertaining as shit if he had won a Money in the Bank and ran around with it. And Nikki Cross is the kind of personality that's going to make that really, really fun and do some really cool things. But as a horror movie fan, I also really love everything Alexa Bliss has been doing. Her disappearing mid-match, her feuding with Eva and Doudrop, which keeps them away from any title pictures, but also keeping them relevant. I think that's going to be fun going forward. And like I said, surprisingly, Eva has done some of the best heel work I've seen in a long time, especially in the women's division. by making everyone think she's going to be this powerful, positive role model, and then just crapping on all of that and basically trolling the universe.
WWE Hall of Famer.
Exactly. Like, and everyone like they took the bait. Like everyone's like, "You're not a Hall of Famer. How could you?" And I'm dying laughing. Like, oh, you took it, and it's so great.
I will say I was pleasantly surprised at the chemistry that Piper and Alexa had. And in that moment when they were in the funhouse, I was like, yo, Piper paired up with Alexa would be kind of cool. And seeing Alexa having her own faction would be a really neat thing to see. And to circle back to yes. And to circle back to your comment about Nikki Ash or Nikki Cross, I will say I think she has a leg up over the Hurricane, because if Hurricane were to win Money in the Bank, I don't think anyone would possibly believe he'd successfully cash in on any WWE champion at that time. However, you look at Nikki Cross in the state of the women's division, it's totally believable to see her not only be a Money in the Bank winner, but cash in successfully.
Now, remember, nobody thought that the Hurricane could throw the Scorpion King over the top rope in that battle royal. The Hurricane will prove you wrong 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Her powers, motherfucker. Her powers.
I'm not doubting it. I'm just saying, like, maybe Nikki Ash, even though she's almost a superhero, she might be a bit above the Hurricane's her powers, man. That's all.
Hey, I interviewed him, and those powers, I can tell you, those powers are real.
I believe it, man.
Are we swallowing anything else from the show?
I think we covered everything.
All right. What are we spitting for Monday Night Raw?
Let me get my list out.
I don't think there was.
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't mean to. I think I was just gonna personally say there was nothing necessarily I wanted to spit. Everything else just kind of was there for me, and this is the first time on Raw in a few weeks that I could actually say that. Which that's the only point I wanted to make is everything else is not spittable, but it's also not swallow worthy. It's just kind of there.
I got a couple things. One, I'm going to spit the whole segment with Natalya, Tamina, Mandy, and Dana, just because I feel like they had to know. Well, I guess it was recorded, but still, I feel like they had to know that Mandy was going down to NXT. So what was the point of shooting this segment if you were just going to trade her down to NXT?
Are you really sitting here and trying to tell me that the upper echelon of WWE management really communicate to everybody else? It's
not about that. It's about continuity. You know how I am about continuity. Why waste the time starting this or continuing this feud that we never really got when you're sending her down to NXT for a trade for your favorite female wrestler, who is now a new addition to Monday Night Raw, and I can't wait to get to that on NXT.
Yeah. No, well, I guess it goes back to the report saying that Vince McMahon and company went down to do some scouting at the Performance Center, and that's when they were like enamored or impressed with Aaliyah. So depending on when that scouting trip happened, let's assume that was Monday or Tuesday. Raw was pre-recorded. Let's say the decision was already made Monday or Tuesday. It's too late to re-record that segment, but then again, they could have just cut it. It just all depends on when the scouting trip happened.
I think it was over the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks or so.
Okay, yeah, there's no excuse then.
Yeah, it was recent.
Okay.
So that, and then Rhea defeating Natalya, because I understand we need to do something for Charlotte to come out, but I don't love Natty in ring personally.
But it was a good match, though. It was a good match for what we normally get on Monday Night Raw.
Is Natty your Sheamus?
Natty's not my Sheamus. No, I would not go that far. It's just the way she puts on the sharpshooter kind of bothers me. It's not quite right. And I feel like there's something she could be doing, but what they're doing with her, like having her wrestle singles, like I've also putting her and her tag team partner in the Money in the Bank when there are other women you could be putting in the Money in the Bank, neither here nor there. Just the whole thing has rubbed me the wrong way. Like I was very happy to see Tamina get a title run finally after all of this time, but like her wrestling the Raw Women's Champion when she's a tag team champion, and us not getting a women's tag title match for the pay-per-view because they're in the pay-per-view in the Money in the Bank and all of that.
What
just
tag teams.
We got one now.
Yeah.
I mean, are they really?
Yes, they are.
I need them to be together as a tag team for a few more weeks to be to be invested, just
Listen.
because Fire Pit was so perfect that this
Yes.
just kind of feels like they're this Fire Pit 2.0, and it's not the same. You know, that's the only reason.
WWE. This is the thing with WWE that they do, and it pisses me off, and I know it pisses off a lot of other fans. It's like they treat us like we're stupid. Like we're not gonna know that Ember Moon was the tag team partner of Shotzi Blackheart. Now it's randomly Tegan Knox. Like,
It's just Knox. It's not Tegan Knox
overnight.
It's just Knox.
It's Tegan Knox.
It's Tegan Knox, but the team name is Shotzi and Knox.
So the Shotzi still have Blackheart as
No,
part of her name?
she's only Shotzi, and then Tegan Knox is Tegan Knox.
Interesting. Then why? Never mind. That's just gonna open up.
We'll never understand it. It's WWE logic.
Yeah, never mind.
Because Shotzi and Tegan Knox doesn't flow as well as Shotzi and Knox for a tag team name. That's why. That's all you need to know.
I just haven't heard them call her Tegan Knox, except for.
Oh, they have. Yeah, Michael Cole was doing it.
They said on
and if you go check out her profile page for SmackDown, it says Tegan Knox, but Shotzi just says Shotzi.
Yeah, I posted it on Twitter because I made a comment about it, and then everybody was like, "What are you talking about?" So I literally took their superstar profiles and just screenshotted them. She's still Tegan Knox.
Give it a week.
It's just annoying how they pretend like they've been a tag team this whole time, and it's like, we watch NXT, we know who
Ember Moon is, and this is not Ember Moon.
Why not just move Ember up and let Tegan Knox have a singles run in NXT?
Because I don't think Ember wanted to come up. If I remember correctly, Ember was on the verge of retiring before they let her go back down to NXT. And even if she got to come up with Shotzi, I don't feel like she has much faith in being on the main roster. So I'm actually okay with that.
Well, from what I heard from Tom Hollihu is that she's actually going to be called up in the draft. So she's actually supposed to come up anyway. It's just more or less like, do we want to hold up certain people until the draft, or
I get it.
Like for instance, like Karen Cross or who else? Finn Balor, like was another name that was, and Io Shirai. Like just a few names to
I think I would pop more if I saw Tegan Knox get drafted to SmackDown opposed to Ember Moon getting drafted to SmackDown. Like I would have loved to see them come up as a team, and then in the draft, let Tegan do her thing with Candice, and then she comes up in the draft.
That's a pet peeve of mine because she
two birds, one stone, you know?
Yeah, she literally debuted, returned out of the Great American Bash, and then that same week, she's like, "Oh, never mind, fuck this feud." It was
like weeks of that battery thing. Like, what was the? But then again, listen, nobody knew Bayley was going to get hurt, so everything kind of just got scrapped immediately. They need that's why they were called up, because they needed women.
So overall, Monday Night Raw, spit or swallow?
I'll swallow. Did we get
Sheamus?
Swallow.
Yep.
That's all I need. As long as I get Sheamus, I'll swallow any episode of Raw.
But I am spitting though these Drew McIntyre stories.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm over it. I don't care.
Every
week talking about something. I'm like, what is this guy talking about?
Do you think he's gonna get booed if he tries to like pull one of those stories? Like they gotta know they're fucking this man up, because from WrestleMania 31.
Let me tell you, if he wins Money in the Bank.
Ooh.
Oh, that's not going to go well at all.
That's going to be Roman Reigns 2.0.
He's overexposed, and for someone like him, they literally, and I said this a few weeks ago, they backed him into a creative corner where they literally made him be in a match where if he loses, he doesn't get another championship opportunity, and then the week after he's in the Money in the Bank. So like, what?
Although I think TC did specify last week that even if he does win Money in the Bank, he can't cash in Money in the Bank on Bobby Lashley so long as he's champion.
So what's the point of him putting him in the match?
He could go after Roman.
I get the point of putting him in the match.
Yeah.
It's to bring legitimacy to the other competitors. Like him being in that match, now guys like Shinsuke or you know who else? Big E. Now they're going to be in the same level as McIntyre.
I feel like the Money in the Bank always tries to throw in an established guy in there that isn't going to win the match, but people see like, okay, this is a credible guy that you're trying to get all these other guys at. I don't know. I think he's one of those guys that I feel like needs to go over to SmackDown, because him versus Roman would be interesting. There's nothing about him going after the Universal title, so there's that.
Yeah, that's
one way to remedy it.
If anybody's going to beat Roman, it's him.
If they want to get him over in front of a live crowd, they let Vince write his promos, because if he had done "This is my sword" and pointed to his dick, the crowd would have popped big for that. So
I thought you were talking about Vince McMahon, but like,
I'm Vince Delgado, my co-host. You know, I'll just write all his promos about how big his dick is, and he'll get over.
Yeah.
We'll put you in charge.
He's kind of badass, so he should be saying stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Where do you guys want to go or Joey, where do you want to go next? NXT, AEW, or SmackDown?
Let's go to AEW.
All right. So we kick it off. IWGP US title on the line. New Japan rules. Mox ends up defeating Carl Anderson. Gallows and Kingston are brawling on the outside at the beginning of this match to take them both out of the factor for the match. We got Archer letting us know backstage that he finally wants his IWGP US title rematch, and he wants it in a Texas death match. We got Andrade looking for the death triangle. A terrible fucking Team Taz story with Starks, but Starks wins the FTW title. Cody, very upset with my favorite AEW wrestler, Malachi Black, for kicking Arn Anderson's head off. Calls out Malachi Black. Malachi shows up on the screen, says Cody and Arn just don't have that look in their eye, and he was there to put him down. Cody says, "Oh, you don't think I've got it? Why don't you come down here and look me in the eye?" He says, "I was hoping you'd say that." Lights go out, lights come on, they brawl, and a big pull apart. We got Proud and Powerful threatening old men with fake crowbars because obviously they respect their elders. We got a Hangman interview, and he lets us know he needs the title, and he gives an official challenge to Kenny. The Elite come out talking shit. Matt Jackson gets in his face, gets hit. Dark Order comes down, backs him up. The Elite realize they are outnumbered. So Kenny says, this is what we're going to do. 5v5 elimination style match, basically Survivor Series. If Kenny's team wins, nobody gets a title shot, and Hangman has to give up that whole thing. But if Hangman's team wins, not only does he get his title shot, but the Dark Order gets a tag team title shot against the Bucks.
Nice.
Jericho doesn't care who he has to fight. And as he's telling us that, Sean Spears throats him with the chair. And MJF lets us know that next week, the match is going to be Sean Spears versus Jericho. And the stipulation is the chairman can use chairs, but Jericho can't. Then we got 2003, 2004 WWE Christian defeating Matt Hardy. The Hardy family office, which is a terrible faction name, storms the ring, but Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus save the day and run them off. And if a man that is damn near 6-something in a dinosaur mask came out swinging around, I would run too. We got a Britt Baker promo, basically talking about how she's better than everyone. She's better than Nyla. Vicky's only relevant because of Vicky's last name, and Nyla doesn't have that. Nyla and Vicky respond, basically saying that, what was that look for, Vince? You okay?
I wasn't sure if that was me or you.
Oh, did I freeze a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good now.
Well, it'll be, oh yeah, there you go. Internet connection's unstable. That's lovely. So let's get through this. Sammy defeats Wheeler Yuta. QT interview. Yuka Sakazaki defeats Penelope Ford. And in our main event, we have the coffin match. Darby Allin defeating Ethan Page. What are we swallowing from AEW?
I would like to take my hat out of like talking about AEW because unfortunately I missed it. So I'm gonna let you, beautiful gentlemen, cover AEW as best as you can.
You came on this show knowing you didn't watch AEW, Vince. Like you showed up anyway.
I told you I didn't watch AEW before we started
showing up
recording.
is half of it.
Yeah, exactly. Showing up is half the job, man.
Joey, what are you swallowing from?
Let me tell you though, Vince, you missed an awesome show.
Yeah,
I know. I gotta go back and watch it for sure.
I'm not the biggest AEW fan. I watch AEW. I like AEW, but I'm not like as invested as I am with WWE content. It's just the way it is. Top from the bottom to the top of the show. I mean, everything was just great.
Except for Team Taz, but we'll talk about that.
Except for Team Taz, because that I did not know why that was happening. Like I thought the problem is you have to be invested in those stories in order to pay it, to follow what's going on. Yeah. So I'm not invested in that story. So when I see what we saw on Wednesday, Ricky Starks is now the FTW champion, and everyone's cheering for him. I'm like, why are they cheering for him? Isn't he a heel? It's very confusing because I don't care about this story.
Well, we'll spin it around. We'll actually do spits because it sounds like you're going to spit that, and I'm definitely spitting that.
Yeah.
So we'll start with our spits. And the reason I'm spitting it is the story has been terrible from the get-go. Like, I didn't know. They made it seem like Brian Cage was not happy with them and he was going to leave, but then he never did.
Yeah,
and
wasn't
then
he turning face, like,
yeah, and then Ricky Starks was like leaving, and Brian Cage was with Team Taz, and now Team Taz is turning on Brian Cage, and the whole thing was fucking confusing. It made no sense. I was not invested in either guy going into the match, and I could have gave a shit who came out FTW champion, because they have somehow taken what should have been a very simple story to tell and fucked it all the way up.
and Taz's kid is there.
Yeah. Hook.
Who would
Terrible
like
name.
literally be eaten alive by any one of those guys besides Starks. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And we're not doing anything with Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean, I don't know that because I don't watch Dark, because I don't have time to watch 17 matches in 2 hours, but apparently we're not doing anything with Hobbs. So are you spitting anything else, or is that really the only thing that you didn't like from the show?
that was kind of the only thing that I could say like that stood out to me to the point where I'm like, I don't care for that.
All right. Well, what were some of your favorite things? What are you swallowing from the show?
I'm swallowing most of the show. I'm swallowing that beginning match with Moxley and Anderson. The crowd loves Moxley.
Yeah.
It's like, it's infectious. Like, I got chills when his music hit because they're just so loud, and seeing that crowd reaction, it like gets you excited for just wrestling in general. I mean, and the way he presents himself, that match was a great match. Predictable. We knew it was going to happen, obviously, but in that sense, it doesn't matter because you know you're going to be entertained. So match is definitely great.
It's the weirdest fucking thing for me because, like, I don't know how to equate this, but like, there are certain things about John like, okay, are you familiar with the porn star Sarah J? Yes. Okay. There are things about Sarah J that I don't enjoy, but I will still watch a Sarah J porno and somehow enjoy it. So it's the same thing with Moxley. I'm not a fan of Wild Thing. I like it better. I like the paradigm shift better than when it was the Dirty Deeds because he puts a little extra into it. Not a huge fan of the paradigm shift as a finisher, but somehow his energy and his presence, no matter what, whether I don't like how he finishes a match and I don't really like the song they're using for him, I'm still enjoying what he's giving me. And it's the weirdest fucking thing.
Yeah, I definitely like his original theme song better because it was more of like it fit him better. Wild Thing I thought was more just for the thing with he was doing with Eddie Kingston.
Yeah.
I guess that's gonna stay now. I don't really know. But like you said with the paradigm shift, like I love Dirty Deeds because it was like head to the mat, boom, like it was like one of those moves where oh, he's not getting up.
Yep.
The
original Dirty Deeds. The original. Yes.
Yeah, the quick version, and he just does it. What we have now, I feel like, is more of like a dramatic version where you would think this is the sports entertainment version of that. You know what I mean?
Well, no, actually, when I said the original version, I was talking about when he did the headlock front DDT, where he grabs someone to headlock and fall forward.
Yeah,
that I enjoyed. Yeah, see, I'm not even with Cactus Jack, and I love Cactus Jack, I've never really liked a double arm DDT as a finisher for whatever reason. It just, something about it always rubs me the wrong way. But, yeah, I get what you're saying, where when he does it quick, it seems a little more effective, and you can see like, okay, that might knock someone out as opposed to like the slow plotting. Yeah. But no, it was a great match, and I agree with you. Like, despite the like with Sarah J, like her face and her voice bother me, but somehow I still enjoy her work on Pornhub. Like, it is what it is. Same thing with Mox is the Sarah J of AEW.
There you go. And I'm sure he would like that reference.
People are going to hear that and be so mad at me. Anyway, it was a great match. I want to swallow the whole interaction between Cody and Malachi Black just because it's Malachi Black. Now, I know a lot of people are very upset that Cody has to wrestle the new guy that's like, he doesn't really like, he didn't feud with Miro when Miro came in. Like, it's not every new guy that comes in starts feuding with Cody. But if I have to believe Cody's not going to fuck this up and have him beat Malachi Black. Like, I feel like they're going to let Malachi get this win in his first feud in AEW, and they're not going to fuck it up. I have to believe that. So, like, if he's going to kick off Cody's head and maybe send Cody away so he can do some stuff with the new baby and everything, spend some time at home with the family, I'm enjoying the shit out of this, and the match should be great. I'm sure Cody's going to bleed like a sieve, and it'll be fantastic. So give it to me until you give me a reason. Like, I can't prematurely be like, no, this is terrible, because I know where it's going. Like, until it goes somewhere I don't like, I've got to enjoy it.
I am absolutely infatuated with this Malachi Black character. I literally wrote like a tweet about it, and I ran out of characters and I had to make like 4 tweets out of it. I literally wrote a story, because if you watched that Instagram post, that video he made the day of his debut, nobody knew what was happening. He referenced, first off, having Josiah Williams as the doctor was brilliant.
Yes.
But referencing Tommy End, referencing Aleister Black, Murphy in that whole thing.
Matthew.
Referencing Malachi. No one's like, who the fuck is Malachi? Like, that's not his name. Shows up on AEW. And by the way, the beginning match with Cody, the light flickering, and everyone's like, what the hell's going on? Nobody knew. And then later on, we find out that flicker was actually Malachi Black kind of toying with Cody. So this whole story of Malachi Black is it's impeccable. It's like, it's nothing like we've seen before. He's got the eye thing. He's following his character. And I honestly believe that's done so he can take this character and just keep building it. Okay,
absolutely.
Maybe he goes back to WWE. Okay, guess what? If he goes back to WWE tomorrow, he's building this character where he can use over there just a different name.
Yeah.
So he's building, I mean, this guy's building a brand. He's not building a character. He's building a brand.
So you're a horror movie fan. Have you ever seen the movie? Oh, what the fuck was it called? Oh my God, I just lost it. It's got Reese Myers in it, who was in The Tudors, where he plays a character that has split personality, and every time his personality changes, his physical features actually change. So like, it was before Split. No, it was before Split.
Before Split.
Yeah,
okay.
No, this is a different movie. It's got Julianne Moore in it as well. But anyway, like, so like one of his personalities is a guy who's crippled, and while that personality, like, he's actually physically handicapped and cannot walk, and like his spine is messed up. But when his character changes to a different person, like the actual physical damage changes. And that's the way I kind of view this with him, is like, Malachi Black still has the physical damage that Aleister Black received, but it is a different persona that is handling it and dealing with it different. And the things that happen to him will carry over as he switches between Tommy, Malachi, Aleister, which is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, so you have like WWE Aleister Black here. You have that Instagram video, and there's a reason why it was on Instagram and not on AEW or WWE, because it was referencing everything. So that Instagram post ties in both companies to this character. I mean, the way that he presented that whole thing was just amazing. And to see now, if you actually go look back to one of Cody's first promos that he did in AEW, Malachi Black actually referenced the same, when he's sitting in the dark with the smoke, he referenced the same promo that Cody cut when he first came into AEW. Remember that promo that Cody's sitting in the dark?
Mm-hmm.
He referenced the same promo. Like, there's just such great storytelling here where you don't get this type of storytelling in WWE. This is like in-depth detail. Like, they know that the fans are not stupid. They're giving us a product that we actually have to think about and process it. And it's like, oh shit, like, this is great. Where WWE is like, oh, Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart have always been a tag team. You don't remember?
You know? Yeah, no. it's insane, and I can't believe they let this guy go with the creative mind that he has and the world that he wants to build and could have built in WWE. The fact that they did not see him worth keeping around just baffles me. But again, there are a lot of people that don't really like this. You and I are horror fans, so that is also part of it for us. I know there are people out there that really don't like the Fiend or Alexa or the dark characters because they're not into that stuff. For me, it's fantastic.
Those are different though, because those are more sci-fi. Those are more like they
True.
appear out of nowhere. They they're mystical creatures. Malachi Black is a legitimate guy. He's a person. He's real.
Mhm.
Just like he acts like if the devil is he's possessed.
Yeah.
With multiple personalities.
I personally like it. I haven't had a chance, like I mentioned, I didn't get a chance to see this week AEW, but based on the stuff that I have seen from Malachi Black, I like the continuity that he's bringing over from his time in WWE. Like just like even like the little subtle things about his eye being busted, it just very subtle things. I love it, man.
Were you able to finish? You good now?
I had things coming up, and it was AEW. I didn't watch it, so I mean, it took care of what I had.
Something came up and you had to go take care of it. I understand.
You're implying a lot of things, man. I don't appreciate.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The viewers are very impressionable, Matt. You can't put that image. You can't put images out there for them.
I just hope you shout out for that OnlyFans account. I'm trying to get you to start. That's all.
We'll see.
I
have
anything
one more
else
thought on Malachi Black, and then I'm going to be done with that one. It's kind of crazy to me how I don't know if you consider this like news or whatever. WWE actually fucked up his contract. He was
we talked about that last week. Yeah.
90-day and it ended up being 30-day and no one had any idea.
How do you update everything but that one clause and fuck that up?
And Buddy Murphy actually had a very similar thing where they actually called him and said, listen, we have to switch it. Like, did you request the 30-day or and he's like, no, like I don't mind getting paid an extra, whatever.
Yeah.
Crazy. Shout out to Chris Van Vliet for that interview, by the way.
So
yes.
they reach out. Yeah. So they reach out to Buddy Murphy, but they don't reach out to Alistair or Tommy Yan. Like, who's the bigger star here? Like that's who you should have kept your eye on.
Also, I think it's more of this was kind of the plan since he got released. I mean, he was probably going to AEW the whole time. Like, probably. Because Zelina was released at the time. Mm-hmm. So she was probably having talks. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, it just doesn't add up how quickly it happened.
Yeah.
And they might have realized it and then with Zelina and whatever talks they had just decided not to do anything about it.
That too. They didn't want to rock the boat with Zelina given that he just got her back and stuff. So
yeah. So
maybe it was
there may have been more to it.
Trying to get him back.
I did read that. I did hear that, but obviously that didn't work out. So
Hey, would you go back?
I mean, they hired my wife back. Maybe I'd go back. They did him dirty. They fucked up his whole run on the main roster. So probably not.
I will say that he handled the whole situation with grace.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't bitter. He sounded very professional and almost like he understood everything. And it was almost to the point where he had other wrestlers being like, "Nah, dude, stop defending WWE. They fucking kick you to the curb. Like, throw the middle finger at them, like curse them out or whatever." And that's not who he is. Despite the character he plays on TV, he doesn't have a vengeful bone in his body, apparently.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see what his entrance in AEW is going to be like and hear his entrance music, but we got to move on from him because we still got other stuff to talk about. I also want to swallow that coffin match at the end. That was insane. The coffin drop onto the closed coffin, onto Ethan. Like, Darby Allin is going to kill himself
on live TV
for all of our entertainment, and it will be a very sad day, but Jesus Christ. I mean, these guys beat the crap out of each other, entertain the shit out of it. Sports entertain the shit out of me. And that finish was just awesome. And also I like the idea, Hangman coming out and finally sacking up and being like, you know what? All that stuff the Dark Order said was right. This is what I need to do. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to go about. And Kenny giving us I'm not going to give you the match, but you can earn the match, even though technically you're the number one contender. 5v5.
Isn't that the whole point of the ranking system?
It is, but Kenny's he's the heel champion, so that's the point. Is he's supposed to try and get out of having to defend it, and that's what he's doing.
That's not me throwing a shot at AEW. That's like me just kind of like making note of like Kenny being chicken shit heel. It's like, bro, that's the whole point of the fucking like ranking system, bro.
Yeah.
You know who the number one ranked is right now? Out of Hangman? Miro.
That makes sense. It makes sense.
How did you guys like his? Well, I don't know if you saw Vince, but how do you like the white title, the white strap?
I haven't seen it. No.
The TNT title kind of throws me off just in general because they've switched it so many times, which I totally understand. Doing it with Brody Lee, retiring that red belt, great. Good idea. Switching it all these times and go to TBS and now calling it still the TNT title, I don't understand what.
Yeah, I don't either. So I liked the black strap look. I'm not a big fan of the engraved TNT letters on it, but outside of that, the black strap look I really liked. This is a white strap with like green ribboning on it, and I don't know.
Is this the real one that we're gonna have, or is this Miro's version of it? Like maybe he's just making.
Is everyone gonna have their own version with their own like? If fucking
Edge had the rated R spinner belt, you know, like that kind of thing.
I don't know. Maybe Miro's a big Power Rangers fan and he wanted to honor Jason David Frank in the white and green Ranger. Maybe he wanted white and green on his strap.
Or it's because he's God's champion and God wears white.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen God wear green, but no, Miro. There's the first time for everything with Miro.
God made grass is green.
I was just thinking that. I didn't want to say it. I was thinking that, like grass.
Anything else that you want to swallow specifically from the show?
Not really. That coffin match just deserves all the credit in the world. It was great.
Yeah, definitely something. I understand why they call it a coffin match because he does the coffin drop, and it wasn't really a casket, like so not in the way we were used to seeing it. But that threw me off at first. I'm like, really, you're just gonna coin it a coffin match? Like, does WWE own casket match? You can't say casket match.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the big difference between if this match was happening in WWE and happening in AEW, WWE would rely on the gimmick to get it over, to get the whole thing over. AEW is relying on the talent to get that match over, which they did. Doesn't matter if you put a plastic bin and call it a coffin. They are going to present themselves so well in the ring that you're going to believe it's a coffin. You don't care. You don't even care to see that if it's a real coffin. You just enjoying the match.
Yeah, because it was really just a wooden box.
Yeah.
I'm gonna swallow AEW as well. Like you said, top to bottom, great show, great flow. There was just one thing throughout the entire show that we really didn't like. Everything else was good. You're gonna want to definitely go check out the Christian Matt Hardy match. Vince, just for nostalgia feels, and Christian gets another win. So
I mean, I'm never nostalgic about Matt Hardy, but I love Christian Cage to the fucking team.
You don't like the V1?
No. I may use it from
time. Matt Facts, baby. Matt Facts.
Matt Facts.
Matt Facts was actually entertaining, but from what I heard, especially the things that really like stood out to me was like the Kenny Hangman stuff, like the Christian match, the opening match, and then even like the Jericho MJF stuff with like the chair stipulation. All that stuff just really resonated with me, and it sounded very good. I can't swallow it right now, but once I finish it at AEW, I will be swallowing it. I'm pretty
tweet us out and let you know what you think after you finish watching it.
Oh shit, I'll make sure to like tweet and tag you guys. I'm like, guys, I'm swallowing AEW this week.
There you go. NXT or SmackDown? You want to finish off big with SmackDown and run through NXT?
Finish off big with SmackDown.
See, I like you. You're all about the foreplay. You're not just trying to bang out the big one real quick. I appreciate that.
I know, man. Sometimes you gotta blow your load all in one, and then just cuddle and then go for round two.
All about the build up, Vince. This is why you're not married yet.
There's some nights for that, but Friday night, you enjoy it.
Okay,
finish strong.
So we kick it off. The newly single Ember Moon loses to Dakota Kai, and after the match, Xia Li comes down for Raquel, walks past Dakota Kai, who looked very upset that she just got passed over by Xia Li. and Xylee challenges Raquel, which Raquel, aka Giant Gonzalez, because after what she did to Shotzi and Ember, she is back to being Giant Gonzalez, accepts that challenge. We got Bobby Fish letting us know he wants a challenge. Diamond Mine shows up. Roderick Strong's like, I'll do it. And Malcolm Bivens is like, maybe you should wait and we should let him fight Tyler Rust first, which I know made Vince super happy. We got a promo for later on in the night with the breakout tournament. Cameron Grimes, Butler segments all through the night.
Cameron Grimes.
I didn't know how I was going to feel about this. It got better as time went on. When he was very happy to be dressed up as a butler, I was like, I didn't want to see happy Cameron Grimes doing this. Like, I wanted to see him a little distraught that he had to be this guy's butler.
Yeah.
But somehow Cameron Grimes makes everything fantastic. We got Tyler Rust defeating Bobby Fish, correct? Because somehow I fucked that up.
Yeah.
Tyler Rust defeated I had Cameron Grimes and then I just cut into Diamond Mine Circles Fish. Kushida runs down to help and somehow missed that whole who won. But if I remember correctly, Tyler Rust won.
It was Tyler Rust, unfortunately.
Diamond Mine Circles Fish. Kushida comes in, doesn't really even things up, but for whatever reason, because it's Kushida, they're like, oh, he's like 5 guys, so we're all just going to take off now. There's 3 of us, 2 of them.
He's got the ring.
Yeah. Samoa Joe meets with Karrion Kross to address the rules as Karrion Kross ignores him, punching the bag. Joe then gets pissed off and kicks the bag, gets in his face, says, do we have an understanding? And Kross threatens Joe and says, if I get screwed tonight, I'm going to kick your ass. Joe's like, well, sounds like you understand the rules. My favorite part of any NXT show is Index, and we have Beth trying to give Indy Hartwell some advice to just go out there and take a chance. Gigi loses to Saray. This is where Mandy Rose shows up during the match, seemingly scouting the match.
I will say, in the middle of the match, my inner Matt Ritter came out and was like, why the fuck is Mandy on NXT? She is a Raw superstar. There's no explanation.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. Because I've got some weird Matt mental issues we'll get to. Santos Escobar defeats Dexter Lumis because he has 2 friends who cheated the best wrestler on NXT out of his deserved win. And then as Legado del Fantasma is leaving, Hit Row greets them on the stage, and we get a little back and forth between them. Swerve versus Escobar for the North American title is going to be money. Looking forward to that. Cool Kyle interview by Wade Barrett. He's starting to maybe regret the idea of finding his soul because he lost and he needs to get his killer instinct back. And he said he is going to finish Adam Cole. He is going to finish him hard.
Well, whenever you do finish someone, you should be hard while you're doing it. I think that's ideal, no?
Theoretically.
In theory.
And then the most beautiful moment in NXT history where Indy Hartwell comes down to the ring, scoops up Dexter Lumis and tries to carry him up the ramp, and then they collapse and their eyes meet in the most beautiful moment, is ruined by Cockblock LeRae, who again comes down, knocks Indy off of Dexter, and drags her away.
He pushed her. She was like, get the fuck off. Like,
not happy. So I don't feel like I got this guy's name right. It was Duke Hudson versus.
I don't know the first part, but it was Jiro. But I remember in his promo saying the first part translated to Handsome Jiro, so I'm calling him henceforward Handsome Jiro until I remember his name.
So it was Ikemen Jiro.
Ikemen Jiro, Handsome Jiro.
See, I wrote down Ikemen both times, but apparently his name is Jiro, and the Ikemen is just the addition.
You aren't wrong about the Ikemen part. He is handsome.
Yeah. So that was the first match of the breakout tournament. Pete Dunne brags in an interview. Ciampa and Thatcher then assault Pete Dunne and Oni Lorcan because sure, why not? We got Caden and Casey back They lose to the Robert Stone brand. And then Aaliyah turns on Robert Stone, gets over for the first time in her entire NXT career with the NXT crowd as she leaves. And then Frankie Monet comes down and somehow just like co-ops Robert Stone, his brand, and Jesse Kamehameha, and takes off with them.
Well, did Robert Stone brand win? Because why was she, I'm not.
Or no, I'm sorry. You're correct. You are correct. Caden and Casey won, and then
because why would she go off on Robert Stone? If
Aaliyah was upset, and he said, "I've done everything."
Aaliyah was the one who got pinned.
Yeah, that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
More Cameron Grimes segment, which I'm sure we're going to swallow, so we'll get into that further. Adam Cole runs his mouth about Joe and Kyle, says no one has the balls to step up to him, and out comes the colossal Bronson Reed. He says, I've got the balls, and you're my golden ticket, and I want to punch it.
Ballsy.
Really surprised at the way after losing the North American title, Bronson Reed has stepped up.
Yeah.
Mandy runs into Frankie backstage, who's now again seemingly in charge of the Robert Stone brand somehow. I'm sure we'll get more on that. And then Johnny Gargano loses to Karrion Kross with Samoa Joe as a special guest referee. And then Karrion Kross chokes out Samoa Joe post-match. What are we swallowing from NXT? Because I know Vince has feelings right now.
Cameron Grimes. I think we're in unison that everything Cameron Grimes on NXT was swallow worthy, and him eating up being the butler was fucking fantastic. Yeah. I love when he's like, I'm going straight to the broom. Like, yep. I'm so bad. I love little puns or dad jokes like that. So like I ate it all up. And I think what this is gonna serve is this is how you get out of Cameron Grimes being the butler. It's like LA Knight being so annoyed. I'm like, no, you're not supposed to enjoy this shit. Like, I don't want you to be my butler anymore. That's how you get out of it, which I thought was good.
So we had the 3 segments. We had the makeover segment at the very beginning, which again, this was the point where I was not sure about this because I wasn't sure about a happy Cameron Grimes. Like, I kind of wanted him to be sad that he lost and he's stuck doing this and kind of see where it goes. But you see him all dressed up and he likes the suit, and it kind of pisses off LA Knight that he's actually okay with this look and he's feeling it. Then you've got the lawn mowing segment where he's going to get on the tractor and he's like, no. Here is a non-motorized push mower. And he's like, oh, I used to do this for my grandma all the time. No problem. I'll get it done. Then the 3rd segment where we find him employing child labor. He paid children almost as if he's starting his own sweatshop of landscaping and caretaking. And he's like, I'm rich. I bought some kids to come do the work for me. And he's like, no, the point is you're a butler. You actually physically have to do the work. And then he tries to pay the kid and Knight gets involved and he ends up in the pool. Like, the whole thing was fantastic. By the end, they really won me over. Cause like I said, I started off unsure. Like, by the end, I was like, this is fantastic. I can't wait for more.
No, I think it was really good. And then I get your point about if you're the butler, you have to do the work, because if a butler just gets his own butler, what's stopping that butler from getting another butler? And it's a never ending cycle of butlers getting butlers, and the job never really gets done. So, there's always that to look into.
I love the logic. That was actually very thorough.
Thank you. I've thought about it ever since Tuesday.
What would have been a nice touch is if he had went and got the Mexicools to come and do it for him.
Imagine.
Oh, throwback, WWE throwback.
I don't think you'd be able to get the Mexicools, but
no, you can't do that on 2021. You cannot do that in 2021.
You cannot.
No. Yeah. It should have been done when they did it. What else you guys swallowing from the show?
Go ahead, Joey.
Aaliyah, that segment at the end where she just got this roar. Where did that come from? Has she ever won in NXT?
No.
That came out of nowhere. And let me tell you, I got assassinated on Twitter after that segment because I tweeted out something like, is she being called up? because she was waving bye to the crowd, not to the people in the ring, waving to the crowd, and it seemed like she was leaving. And I said, is she being called up? Maybe she's going to, Raw or SmackDown. And I literally got like annihilated for even mentioning that. And then people saying, oh, Frankie Monet is not going to be the Frankie, whatever the brand, Robert Stone brand. I'm like, yes, she is. She literally brought them to the back. Like Robert Stone wobbled behind, but followed them. And it was just a switching of that character.
I actually thought when I watched it that it was going to be her taking Jesse Kamea and not Robert Stone. And then when we went to the back, I saw him tagging along like a sad puppy. Yeah. I don't think it'll be the Robert Stone brand going forward. I think Frankie Monet is going to rebrand that whole thing, which would be great. I know Vince is going to spit Aaliyah when we get to it because Vince has an unadulterated hate for two people that we had to watch on NXT this week, one of which is Aaliyah. But I will say this. So I'm half okay with this because I have an issue with the way that WWE handles their supposed brand split. And I've made no bones about that. The fact that I never, ever, ever want to see a SmackDown superstar show up on Raw unless it is an attack before Survivor Series or something like that. I have no problem with Raw and SmackDown superstars meeting as long as it's on a neutral playing field like a pay-per-view. But I never want to see SmackDown superstars competing on Raw unless like women's tag team titles where that's an established rule. So when I saw Mandy Rose show up, I had the same feelings Vince had. I had that inner crazy in me was like, what the fuck are you doing here? You're not on NXT. And we heard that it was a trade. Aaliyah got traded for Mandy Rose, which I would accept if they hadn't said that Shotzi, Tony, and Tegan got called up. So if there had been a trade in place on the SmackDown side, like they justified it on the Raw side, then all of the cogs would work in my head and everything would be okay. But I'm still fucking loopy about like how all of this works and how you get traded to NXT, but also called up, and none of it makes fucking sense.
Well, if I want to play devil's advocate here, go ahead, Joey. You go ahead.
My bad. So the reason why that wasn't the same thing, Mandy Rose going to NXT, Aaliyah coming up was planned. That was one of the people that Vince scouted out going down to the Performance Center. Aaliyah was whatever he wanted to see on Raw, which when you put her on Raw, I don't know what the hell she's going to do. I mean, I can't, you can put her with Dana Brooke and just pretend they were a tag team the whole time. Like, I don't know.
Sounds about right.
What happened with Shotzi, Tegan, and Tony, Bailey got injured, so they needed some people to fill in real quick, to fill in for that lost spot of Bailey from being injured. So that was just on the spot. Like, we got to move them up right now. And Mandy and Aaliyah was actually planned. So that's why it was a trade. And then this just happened out of nowhere.
Which runs us back to the issue I had with Monday Night Raw and the Mandy Dana segment. Though now if you have Aaliyah and Dana as a tag team, you can actually call them the sexy muscle friends. And one is the sexy and one is the muscle.
But I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't even put them as a tag team.
No, that's a terrible idea, but it's something WWE would do.
No, I was going to play devil's advocate here and say that, well, there's always call-ups from NXT to SmackDown or Raw. It's been established for years now, so we know that. We've been on that. So that's what happened over on SmackDown. They got a bunch of call-ups, and Raw didn't. So Raw needed talent. They wanted some talent, but NXT's like, no, we just did some call-ups. We're done with the call-ups for now. We want something in return. So maybe this is William Regal, or maybe this is the influence of Samoa Joe saying, no, we want something in return. Maybe Raw wasn't in line to get a call-up, but wanted someone specifically, so they worked out a trade.
Fair enough. I'll give you that.
That would be the logical way of looking at it. Yeah.
Very nice, Vince. Very good. Very nice.
I like it.
Sometimes it makes sense.
I'm also swallowing everything index. The whole outside of Candice LeRae, Cock Block LeRae, ruining it every time. Everything they do is fantastic. And I really can't wait because it's been building and building and building till we get the moment where something actually happens between them.
What if we get?
Why are they doing it during commercial breaks? That's pissing me off.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like that's the whole point. Because it happened one time where Dexter came out and picked up Indy, and now it happened again when the roles were reversed. So why are they doing it during commercial breaks? Is this
Unless it's by design.
not the big storyline? Like,
they're blue balling us by blue balling them, which is crazy.
yes.
But what did we do end up getting blue balled and we don't get the finish we want?
I'll be very upset. Like, Dexter Lumis is that creepy, quiet, almost serial killer-esque character that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And we kind of lost that with Index, but we got a different side of him, and he's still that silent character. I'd like to get that other side back, but if there's no payoff for this and we've lost what originally appealed in Dexter Lumis to me for nothing, I'm gonna be pissed.
Well, what is the payoff? Like, what are they, like, just like a gender team? Like, what do you do with them?
Possibly. I mean, you end up having them in a relationship. Now that Johnny's kind of out of the title pictures, we can do intergender tag team matches between Gargano and Candice versus Indy and Dexter.
Yeah.
It could lead to a singles title run for Dexter or Indy with them supporting each other. I mean, there are places you can go with it. I just hope that they don't do like they did with Mandy and Otis, where we finally get what we were waiting for. And then it's like, okay, so you got it. Now we don't know what to do. So this person's going to leave and we're just going to pretend like this never happened.
What my payoff would be if I could book this story is I've been really enjoying Johnny Gargano, the way everything has been just so enjoyable. And with Crowds being back, like you saw it on NXT this week, it's like they were behind him 100%, regardless. And I think the payoff would be to slowly transition the way into being baby faces and them accepting the love of Index. And that's your payoff. It's the way accepting. Dexter not being a member of the way, but being a friend or associate of the way, or them just accepting this relationship. I think it's the payoff for me. It's what I want to see.
You're basically taking the story of Buddy Murphy and Aaliyah Mysterio and just
except it's not as creepy.
moving it to NXT.
Except not as creepy. Though I will say, with that idea, the idea of Dexter like drawing pictures and giving them to Johnny Gargano and doing different things with Johnny Gargano, with as entertaining as the way has been, could be really fun with him on their side.
Imagine a Christmas skit where they're on the couch and he's drawing a family portrait of them.
Yeah.
And they're all in the way Christmas sweaters.
Well, if you look back to when Dexter was somebody else in TNA Impact, he was like a stalker.
Mm-hmm.
So you could go back to something like that where Indy now is like creeped out. She breaks up with him, and you give them a face or a heel, and he's kind of like, I don't know what I did.
I was actually thinking something along that lines where, like, now that he's accepted by them, he starts like choking out Johnny's opponents and making them disappear, and everyone's like, where did they go? What happened to him? Yeah, and then everyone's like, all right, something's not right here. What's up with this guy? And maybe eventually transitioning him into a heel. So that is something we could do. That's a good idea. What else are we swallowing from NXT before I let Vince go off on his spits?
For me, it's Samoa Joe getting choked out because he has now been provoked, which now means someone is gonna die. Which means for me, I know who is taking the title off of Karrion Kross to send him packing to the main roster. Guaranteed SummerSlam weekend takeover.
You heard it here first. Prediction very early from Joey Carney. Samoa Joe defeating Karrion Kross for the NXT championship.
Samoa Joe came to NXT to calm down the chaos, but little did we know he's actually going to be the one to save NXT and its championship.
I really do hope that's where they go, because that would lead me to believe that Samoa Joe has been cleared, which it'd be a shame to like.
He had to be cleared. He just got choked out.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm really hoping. That's the reason why I'm swallowing it as well, Joey, because to me that signified he's cleared, he's good to go, and now all these little teases that we've had with other wrestlers Adam Cole. Him and Joey Gargano would be an interesting.
Gargano,
it'd be just hilarious. Yes.
Ciampa. Oh my god.
Oh god.
Anybody.
I'm so hard right now.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle, I'm hard. All right, Vince. Unleash upon us your spits for this week.
Okay. So I want to start off by saying this. One of the original spit was Mandy Rose showing up with no explanation, and it's like, if you're gonna bring in any Raw superstar to NXT, why wouldn't it be Sheamus? You can bring any member from the Raw roster, and you chose not to bring the greatest man that ever lived on the Raw brand to NXT and make it the best show of the week.
He is champion though, so like he would have to lose his title or drop his title.
It's the NXT United States Championship now.
Exactly. Thank you, Joey. Thank you. Joey gets it, man. Why can't you get it? You never get me, man. Joey's been we've met one time and he's already on board with it. He already knows what's up. Thank you, Joey. Thank you. So it becomes the NXT United States Championship, and then now NXT is littered with championships, so now Sheamus can collect, which was actually a story mode in WWE 12. So there's that. He fulfills the prophecy of the video game.
Long-term booking.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, man. Give this man
10 years in the making. Long-term
10
booking.
years in the fucking making, man. And so I'm not spitting that, but I am spitting Aaliyah showing up on the show. I have nothing personal against Aaliyah.
Yes, you do.
The person, no. The wrestler, yes. I don't appreciate Aaliyah. I don't like Aaliyah whatsoever.
You didn't like when she wore the little cat ears and she thought she was a cat for a while?
I hated that. I hated when she was like doing like these like Egyptian.
Yeah,
it's like that's how long she's been there, man. And then just kind of
got signed when she was 19.
Breaking ground when NXT was originally just kind of breaking ground. She was there and almost got cut back then, and somehow she's a survivor, Vince. She's gonna make it.
How is she? How did she survive the cuts? But you get rid of guys like Buddy Murphy, Aleister Black, and Breezango. Like Breezango hurt me to my soul.
I thought that like Robert Stone brand was going when the budget cuts were coming.
Yeah, me
too. Died down with that because it was popular for a little while.
Mm-hmm. No. So
it was popular when Shotzi was running Robert Stone over with the tank.
Yes.
It was popular because of Shotzi. But I will say this: if Buddy Murphy, Tyler Breeze, or Aleister Black could belly dance like Aaliyah for Vince, they might have stuck around a little longer.
I mean, maybe they did and they just couldn't.
I'm saying they couldn't. Fandango, I believe, could have. So I'm not gonna take belly dancing away from him.
Maybe they belly dance so good that they're like, I can't have these men here or I'll be tempted. I can't keep this temptation in front of me on my roster. So it was that. So
what else you spitting?
I'm also spitting Tyler Rust. Tyler Rust getting a win over Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish came back and he hasn't done anything except take losses. I want Bobby Fish to be built up, and I don't want him to be forgotten and be the ugly stepchild. Let this man get some wins. And yeah, I get Diamond Mine's supposed to debut, but this is me fueling my hate for Tyler Rust. I don't like Tyler Rust. I feel like I never really resonated with the guy since the moment he joined the roster. If I could, I pluck everyone from Diamond Mine and leave Tyler Rust somewhere and let him rust away, and he never shows up on my television screen ever again.
But he's a diamond in the rust.
No. He's one of those fake diamonds. You get like green
cubic
fingers.
Zirconium in the rust.
Yeah, cubic zirconium. That's what that is. But you know what? I did have a certain feeling about it, but it's kind of hard to spit the Aaliyah stuff like too much because I'm happy for her being called up because she's been there forever. I'm happy she got called up. I still don't care about her. But
now you can spit her on Raw every week when she's on.
Exactly.
Now it's a real question if we're actually going to see her on Raw.
On Hulu. So if I watch the Hulu version of Raw, I may never see her ever again. So it's a blessing in disguise because she's taken away from NXT, which is one of my favorite shows of the week almost every single time. And I also want to spit Karrion Kross retaining the title just because I would have loved to see Johnny Gargano as champion because it would have entertained me. It would have humored me. And I'm not a fan of Karrion Kross as champion. But after post-match, Joe versus Kross, it's entertaining. And I will be behind that so long as Joe is the one to take the title off of Kross because I think the title should be taken off of Kross.
And we actually could have done Joe versus Kross anyway because Kross did threaten Joe, if I get screwed over, if I feel I get screwed over, I'm going to kick your ass. So if Johnny had won by some sort of nonsense, we still could have gone that same route. But I know you hate Karrion Kross.
Yes.
Dislike.
I do. I dislike Karrion Kross. I'm jealous of him too because he's with Scarlett, but that's neither here nor there.
Hometown girl, gotta love her.
Yeah, gotta support her. Everything else like that. That's about it in terms of my spits.
You got any spits from the show, Joey?
Spits. Yeah, I have to agree with the Tyler Russ stuff because I really just don't get him. Like I just when he first debuted with Malcolm Bivens, whatever the guy's name is, I was like, okay, like cool. Like I don't know who this guy is, whatever. I would have loved to see Bobby Fish get a real quick win over him. And then Diamond Mine beats the shit out of Tyler Rust, kicks him out, and they put Bobby Fish in the group where he should be. Because Bobby Fish, I don't think can survive on his own. There's nothing to him where I don't know. I just don't see him. I would have loved to see him as a tag team competitor. I mean, WWE needs tag teams. He's great at that role. Leave him with Roddy. If you have to put the Cruiserweight Championship on Roddy, which it looks like they're doing with Kushida, then let Bobby Fish at least have a place where he's featured on TV doing what he's doing.
To add to what Joey just said, I almost forgot. I want to spit everything cool Kyle. And I hate this because I love Kyle. I can't stand it. It's almost like I love you so much, but I hate you. I hate this version of you. Why can't you go back to what I used to?
Cool, man. Like,
well, he might be. Maybe he was saying, I became cool Kyle, and now I lost Adam Cole. I lost that edge. I need to get that edge back.
Comes out with the remedy clothes every week.
The remedy there is to repair Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly and remake Redragon. Let them drag up again in that NXT and let them do that. Because I agree with you, Joey. I'm afraid for Bobby Fish. He's always been the one that I've been afraid about because he's gonna be what Sheldon Benjamin is for Raw. Just a guy that's on the roster that they're gonna use from time to time, but he's gonna mostly take L's. And he's a great wrestler, and I like him.
Hopefully, I also think because he gets injured a lot.
That too, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's to quote Fighting With My Family. He's a journeyman. He's the guy that's going to get thrown off a cage and injure himself to try and get over. Blah 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 blah. So, are we swallowing NXT as a whole?
No, I'm spitting NXT because they could have traded for Sheamus and they didn't.
I'm swallowing it all.
I'm going to swallow NXT as well. All right. Finally, we are here. Friday Night SmackDown. The return of fans to a WWE show in a somewhat full capacity because we've had fans in the CWC, but not at this level. We kick it off with this amazing opening all about what the crowd does for WWE and the crowd reactions and appreciation for what the crowd brings to the feel of WWE. Then Vince McMahon comes out to a huge pop to tell everyone, where the hell have you been? And then just walks away.
That was so awkward.
Yeah.
I thought it was perfect because I felt like he should have shown up, but he didn't take too much time. But it was a little awkward. But it was a little awkward. It's old man awkward that I appreciate.
He just walked away. I was like, wait, what happened?
We kick off the show 6-man tag team match. Roman and the Usos defeat Edge and the Mysterios. After the match, the Usos take out the Mysterios, and then Edge takes out the Usos with the chair. Roman hits the Superman punch on Edge, looks for a little payback, breaks the piece of the chair off, but Edge hits him with a spear, shoves that bar right in his mouth, watches Roman tap out. Then we got an Edge promo about the last thing he needs to do is win a Universal title match or Universal title, and how he's going to win. Seth then starts laughing in the background, interrupts, and says, you're not going to win, but I really hope you do, because I'm going to win Money in the Bank. And I would love to beat the guy that made Money in the Bank famous by cashing in the Money in the Bank on him.
He also said he's going to finish what he did a few years ago when he had his foot
on his neck.
Foot on his neck and didn't pull the trigger. So I love the continuity there.
Sammy comes out and silences the crowd. He wants to start a Justice for Sammy movement. And this is the return to the main roster of Finn Balor, who just stomps the shit out of Sami Zayn. And the crowd loved it. My possibly favorite new tag team. We will see how it goes because it does have my favorite female wrestler, Shotzi Blackheart, in it. Shotzi and Nox defeat Tamina and Natalia. We got Zelina and Liv on commentary. Randomly during the match, they're trading shots back and forth. They get up, they start brawling. Natalia gets distracted, which leads to Nox getting the pin and the win. And then Tamina and Natalia go out, take out Zelina, go after Liv Morgan, who takes out both Tamina and Natalia and stands tall at the end of the segment, pointing up to the Money in the Bank. We also have Bianca defending her women's championship successfully against Carmella. We get an Alpha Academy promo that Cesaro interrupts. Otis beats the shit out of Cesaro. Cesaro got the win in that match, correct?
DQ.
It was a DQ. Okay. I missed that match. That was the one thing from SmackDown that I had some stuff going on. And I missed the ending of it. We get told that Tony Storm will be debuting next week. So coming soon was coming really fucking soon. I guess they decided not to do any of the stuff with Tony and Saray. They're just moving on. We have a Heyman interview interrupted by Big E, who's just there to talk shit and have some fun. Sad Corbin needs financial help. You guys can go to his website. It's still being built, but it's an actual website. Kenny did confirm that and posted the link. So you guys can go check that out. And he insults KO's style and says, clearly you're not spending money on your clothes, so maybe I can get some of that.
Really sorry.
KO hits the stunner. Then we get our fatal four-way, which Seth Rollins wins. Also, the return of the what chant, which people were not happy about.
Oh my God. But it couldn't have happened for a better guy like Corbin. So
at least it made sense with that segment. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like, overall, the crowd was great.
So, is there anything, because I don't think there is there anything we're spitting from SmackDown tonight?
I'm not.
No.
I mean, the only thing I didn't care about was like the women's tag match, but even the after match stuff was interesting, and I care about Tegan and Shotzi. So
and we're pretty much swallowing just about everything that happened. Like they put on top to bottom a fantastic show, and having the crowd there just put it on to the next level. It's really hard not to like anything that happened tonight because we've been waiting for this for almost 2 years now. Like,
yeah, it's like I kind of almost forgot that the crowd was returning, and then the crowd was there. And I can't remember what moment it was. I don't remember if it was when they were booing the shit out of Roman when he was in the ring and entering his entrance, or when Edge's music came out and there was a huge pop, or whether it was when the fans were chanting, singing along to Vince McMahon's theme song. But I got a little emotional because for the longest time, and Matt can attest to this, I was feeling a little like dejected from wrestling, almost a little bit jaded. I wasn't enjoying the product as much because it used to be an escape for me. It used to be something that I looked forward to on a weekly basis that just kind of took me away from everything else that's going on in my life, and I could just for 2 hours or whatever pause my life and enjoy this thing that I fucking loved since I was a kid. And I forgot how much the fans added to it, and for a second there I really did get emotional. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic, this is great, because it also kind of makes you feel like things are slowly getting back to normal. Which is a little emotional there too.
I had the same exact feeling, man. Like, it was weird because during the Bianca Carmella match, I randomly tweeted, I'm like, wow, like, it's so wild that we have fans again. Like, this is crazy to me after this amount of time. And let me tell you, I did get emotional at the beginning of the show when Edge hit his entrance, because I was like, wow, that roar from that crowd was so, like, I don't know. It was just something so different than what we've had over the last while. I mean,
it was real.
It was real. And like, when have you heard a roar like that in the last couple of years? Like, really, like,
the last time I can remember a big roar like that, funny enough, was when Edge surprised return at the Rumble.
Yeah.
That's the last time I heard a roar like that.
And hearing him on the ramp, like, give it to me, like asking the crowd, like, really, like him being in that moment, like no one else deserves that moment more. And then, like, seeing like first off him tagging with Rey Mysterio again, like crazy to me.
I love.
Then Dominic
Yeah.
being a part of that being Dominic's first match in front of a crowd, because when he debuted, he had yet to be in front. It was during the pandemic, so this kid is having his first match in front of a crowd. That's why he was so hyped up and like, cheery. And then seeing all three of them do like Edge's pyro, I was like where I was like, holy shit! Like, I'm like emotional. Why? It was so powerful.
I loved it, man, because like I felt like the crowd was just perfect tonight. They played along to like the Roman heel stuff.
Yep.
Even like Sami Zayn, like they were singing along to his song, but Sami Zayn knew, hey, cut my music because they're gonna fucking sing along to my shit because they haven't done that. The Vince McMahon stuff. The crowd got behind Dominic. There was a Dominic chant during the match, which was great to hear. Like I was like watching and hearing this, like this must be amazing for this kid to be like, wow, they're like, because it's one thing to be in a crowdless like environment and have everyone say you're doing so good, but to have that validation from the crowd and know you're actually doing a good job and know that people are actually getting behind you has to feel amazing for him. Not only him, but Bianca Belair. She had one of the bigger pops other than Edge. And
I did not
Roman and
expect
Vince
that.
McMahon. Like I knew, like the minute they showed her backstage, they were already like popping for her, but she came out and it felt like a Trish Stratus or Lita pop.
Yep.
So I did expect that, and here's why. And we'll see if I'm right. So I'm going to equate the first SmackDown and the first Raw back in front of the crowd to night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania.
Yep.
Night 1 was fantastic, and it felt special, and the crowd cheered the baby faces and booed the heels and did all the stuff that you'd want to see a crowd do.
Yep.
Night 2 didn't quite feel the same. I have a feeling guys like Drew McIntyre are not going to get the reception that you'd expect baby faces to get, and some of that old crowd tendency is going to come back. But the pop that Sasha and Bianca got when they main evented WrestleMania is why I was not surprised at the reaction that Bianca got here back in front of the crowds. Yeah. So
it was just nice to hear and see, because she felt like that validated her as that next megastar. Because we've been looking for that next big star after the 4 Horsewomen, after Asuka, and this is her. This is Bianca.
Speaking of next big megastar, now I'll say they may have to do something with their music because it's not really something you can sing along to or whatever. But Shotzi Blackheart in that tank in front of a crowd shooting shirts and whatever she's shooting out into the crowd is going to be over big on the main roster. Yeah. That is going to be a fantastic thing for her. That is going to, the tank alone is going to get her over big. And tonight proved it. Like, as excited as everyone was to see the tank, they showed her shooting it out into the crowd, kind of like when they used to come out with the t-shirt cannons, or China came out with the gun. Yep. Yeah. So that's going to be really cool for her and Nox going forward, because Nox is going to get the rub from it too, from riding on the tank. And if she plays into it and she's smart and really they make something out of it and feel like a tag team, that'll be really cool for both of them.
I got scared at one point.
Oh yeah,
Shotzi and Nox made their entrance. The crowd was silent.
Mm-hmm.
They were just not, like, it was weird.
I think it's because of the music. So a lot of the reaction is the music hits and you know who's coming. Yeah. Shotzi doesn't have that kind of music that when you hear it, you know it's Shotzi. So I think they were
I was like, oh my God,
kind of unsure who was coming out until the tank hit, and then it just kind of settled in, and then they had to figure it out. But yeah, no, it's not Kevin Owens or someone where that first tone hits, Shinsuke, where it's like, okay, I know who's coming and I'm excited and ready to go. It's like, wait, I don't know what the song is. And it's like, oh, okay, it's them.
Yeah, and then also they just debuted it the week prior. So, and this is, we still got to remember, is as much as hardcore wrestling fans might have showed up at SmackDown, this is still like casual fans for the most part. Maybe they didn't watch NXT, and we got to take that into account as well. But I will say that Shotzi's entrance, the theme does have the little like that chainsaw rip effect at the start, which is gonna catch on. And all new theme songs have that where you're like, can't really get behind this. I don't really know who this is. I think even like a Kevin Owens when he first debuted, like over on NXT, kind of had similar thing. But once you got used to like the drum hit, like the snare, it picks up and you get used to it. So I think Shotzi will be okay.
Anything else? Joey, I did want to talk to you about this real quick. So I know that one of your picks to win Money in the Bank, because I listened to that prediction episode, was Seth Rollins. Now you got the tease of Seth Rollins and Edge, which is a rumored match for SummerSlam, with him winning the Fatal 4-Way and the typical indicators. Are you still feeling Seth Rollins walking out with Money in the Bank?
It's an option, and I don't know if you finished the whole episode where I said why I thought Seth would win.
Yeah.
Seth winning the Money in the Bank sets up for a huge match at SummerSlam where you have Edge defeat Roman Reigns for the title at Money in the Bank, and within seconds, Seth cashes in, and now the main event of SummerSlam is Seth versus Edge for the Universal Championship, and that allows Roman to have Cena one-on-one without a title.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
one route that I wouldn't mind seeing that whatsoever. I just firmly believe that this is what they've wanted for Roman for so long that they're not going to take the title. I don't think he's dropping the title until WrestleMania, unfortunately.
Well, I read a report earlier that the match, the main event for WrestleMania next year may be a tag match, The Rock and an Uso versus Roman and an Uso, because they don't want The Rock to be injured or anything because of his schedule, but they want him up with Roman.
Which would make more sense as to why they're doing what they're doing with the Usos currently and not just have Jimmy. But not too big of a fan of that. But I will say the main reason why I don't think Seth will actually win is because he touched the briefcase, man. You don't touch the title. You don't touch the briefcase going into the pay-per-view. Usually the last person standing tall, like going home to a pay-per-view, the math is not in his favor. Could we be wrong? Could I be wrong? Of course, I'm wrong almost all the time. But I feel like him touching the briefcase and celebrating to close out SmackDown kind of solidifies my feelings that he's not winning. But I do feel that Liv Morgan has a really good chance of winning the women's Money in the Bank match.
See, on my prediction show, I predicted that Zelina Vega is going to win it because she has history with Bianca and she lost so many times. And now that she's back, there's a reason why she's back. It's not just to be back in WWE. No one just loves WWE that much. Mm-hmm. There's a plan behind her coming back, and it's a big push, hopefully, because she said tonight on SmackDown she wants to be the Latina Heat of WWE.
Which I am behind.
I'm really behind.
A heel woman winning Money in the Bank would allow for a male baby face like a Big E to walk out of Money in the Bank.
That was my pick. That was my overall pick. And if you will let me, Mr. Matt Ritter here, allow me to talk about why I think Big E is going to win.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll sum it up real quick. So if Big E wins the Money in the Bank earlier on the night, right? We have the WWE Championship match later on, Kofi Kingston versus Bobby Lashley. If we know anything about Kofi Kingston in WWE Championship matches, it's that he loses very, very fast. Now that we have a pissed off Bobby Lashley, I feel like this is going to be a squash match. Bobby Lashley is going to just destroy Kofi Kingston. Now we're going to get Big E come out and cash in the contract on the WWE champion, Bobby Lashley, and win the title. But Kofi Kingston and Xavier are going to be so pissed off that they lost that way. They're going to be celebrating with Big E, and they're going to turn on him. They're going to align with Bobby Lashley and MVP, creating the new Hurt Business.
In the Flashpoint Paradox universe, that sounds fantastic. And Joey, we've been agreeing with so many things, but I never want to see that.
Let me tell you, I got
that's why
on Twitter. People were like, I don't want to see that. The New Day. WWE wants a big story to come back to with the fans. Mm-hmm. And doing this with the New Day would be that big story. It elevates Big E. It elevates everybody. Now Bobby Lashley's out of the picture. He can go on to Brock at SummerSlam. And the WWE title match at SummerSlam is Kofi Kingston and Big E.
And we get Big E versus Xavier Woods in the meantime.
Yep.
I will say this. they have kind of like, I was with Joey until the New Day turn, because you and I talked about this, and I told you that on our show a couple weeks ago, and you're like, you don't want to see another cash in on the same pay-per-view that they win it. You want to see someone hold it for a while. Like, but that was my whole thing, was Kofi loses, Big E cashes in, beats Bobby, wins. And I said New Day reunites on Raw, but they did do a lot of MVP kind of alluding to the fact that he wants to see that version of Kofi come back. He respects Kofi. He loves Kofi, this and that. And kind of like maybe he's interested in bringing them on, but he needs to see something out of Kofi before that happens. So this could be that catalyst.
I think for me, like, outside of the context of what this match signifies, I wouldn't want to see a squash match. I want to see a good on, like, full on good match between Kofi and Bobby Lashley, just because like it's not too often. I can't even think the last time we saw two black men fight for the WWE title on a pay-per-view. Like this means a lot. Like, I saw TC from Young Kings Wrestling, just even them doing like the hype package on SmackDown. Like, you can't imagine how, like, most people won't understand how big this is for me to see them hype up this match. So for me personally, I wouldn't want it to be a quick squash match. I love the idea that Joey proposed. Just maybe different players involved, I'd be on board with it. But given who we have to work with, I would like to see a nice grueling match and let them have the Bianca Sasha moment, because they deserve it.
Yeah. Well, someone even said you can even turn Big E heel and he turns on them, wins it. Like, Kofi beats Lashley, and then Big E cashes in on Kofi.
Yeah, I don't know. Me personally, I wouldn't want to see a heel turn, although I would be so interested in watching popcorn. You cue the Big E meme, like the New Day popcorn gif. Like, that'd be me watching it the whole time.
Well, listen, the Shield ended up getting back together, so the New Day can definitely come back together.
For sure, definitely.
Something like that happens.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that we're all swallowing SmackDown.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, that stage, how do we like that stage?
Wow.
When I saw pictures of it, I was like, it looks kind of plain, but when it's in effect and in action, it was fantastic.
I felt like it was WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was SmackDown the best show of the week.
I think hands down.
Hands down.
Well, as per the Smackin' Raw podcast and our guest host, Joey Carney, SmackDown is the best show of the week. Joey, please tell everyone where they can find you, your interviews, your prediction shows, all of the really cool shit you do.
Of course. So, the Angle Podcast, you can find me on Twitter. All social media handles are at The Angle Radio. On YouTube, it's at The Angle Podcast. And you can check out my website, theangleradio.com, where you can find all that stuff. It's kind of like the home base for everything for the podcast. But yeah, a lot of fun interviews. Eric Bischoff, DDP. I just did an interview with the first U.S. interview with Joe Doring from Impact, and a lot of great other stuff coming up. I'll break some news here on your show because I haven't said anything yet. Next week, I have a tell-all exclusive with Tucker, formerly with the Heavy Machinery. He talks about everything going on with Mandy Rose, Dolph Ziggler, Otis, and what he thinks about this whole Chad Gable, whatever you want to call him, the Alpha Academy. Great stuff coming next week. So
interesting. Gotta tune in for that for sure.
Vince, go ahead and...
Obviously, you can find me on all social media platforms at SES Vince, whether that's Instagram or Twitter. You can find me also running the show's Instagram account at Smackin' Raw Pod on Instagram. So go ahead and check that out. We're trying to build up that community there and have that as a platform. So hopefully one day it gets to be just like Matt's Twitter account or like the show's Facebook account.
Is that all you're gonna plug?
Yes. That's well, I did drop the Straight Talk podcast with Rick Havoc. We talked NBA playoffs. It's a little bit dated now, but still fun to check out. We fired off some Ben Simmons trade machines, so go ahead and check that out using my Linktree/SES Vince. So you can find that there. It's in my bio on my Instagram and on my Twitter, so you can find all that stuff there.
All right, I'll do the Facebook. You guys can find me on Twitter at Matt Ritter. This is at MATTRIDDER. Also, the banner under which we exist, Creation World. You guys can find them on Twitter and Instagram at The Creation World. That's TheCreatia. World, Facebook.com/Creation World, Facebook.com/group/Smackin Raw, Facebook.com/groups/Super Flash Hero of Tomorrow. If you're a fan of the DC universe that exists on the CW, Travis and Mara do a great job over there, so go check that out. Also, as everyone knows, we are the #1 wrestling podcast on Pornhub. Currently, 8.2 thousand views on Pornhub, 26 subscribers, and we are ranked 75,897. Our model rank is up again, still in the top 100,000 porn stars on Pornhub, and it is my favorite thing in the world. Also, just like the Instagram, we're trying to build up that at Smackin' It Raw pod Twitter handle. I'd love that the almost 5,000 people I have at Matt Ritter would go there, and I could make that the official Smackin' It Raw pod Twitter. So please go do that. And for us and Joey, YouTube, like, subscribe. We would appreciate it. You guys have anything else you guys want to talk about before we sign out?
I appreciate you guys having me on, making my Pornhub debut, obviously. And everybody listening or watching, go hit that like, subscribe button.
Appreciate that. No, just glad we have fans back, man, and can't wait for Money in the Bank this week, man. It should be fun.
All right. For Joey Carney, Pornhub Poppy, Daddy Delgado, I am the Warden, Matt Ritter. We are Smackin' It Raw, and we are the #1 wrestling podcast on Pornhub.
There you go.